LPL 在不断改变。6年中有许多人问我，你为什么还在坚持？这局游戏对你究竟意味着什么？
全军出击！
我见过最美的风景，也听过最热烈的欢呼。为了所有这些，我愿意付出一切。
这局游戏是一段旅途，有人中途停留，也有人会做到最后，而终点只不过是另一个起点。
50的血量，50的血量！
我不走那么多是非曲折，这局游戏赢就对了。
이번 게임의 낭만은 0부터 100처럼 무명에서부터 이름을 날리는 것이다.
我从来都没有后悔过自己走过的路。这局游戏的魅力就在于创造奇迹。
많은 사람들이 전설을 보는 것에 열광하지만 다른 사람들이 그 뒤에서 흘리는 땀에 대해서는 잘 보지 못합니다. 하지만 이러한 땀이 없었다면 저희는 다시 이곳으로 돌아오지 못했을 겁니다.
欢迎来到英雄联盟。
会变的是人和环境，不变的是游戏最后的胜利画面。
我明白，这场游戏就是成王败寇，
但是不到最后，我不会放弃对王冠的追逐。
这局游戏需要牺牲，无私奉献，去成就团队的胜利。
他还需要领袖，不管遇到什么困难，都和同伴一起扛下去。
是我最喜欢的玩具。
LPL 需要年轻的力量，是时候让我们来接管比赛了。
想成为这场游戏的主角吗？打败我吧！我们的时代还远没有结束。
And welcome back to the LPL. Thank you very much if you stuck through us through that opening ceremony. It was a lot of fun to be here as well in the arena. You know, we did so many last year, and it never felt we were quite part of the show. But being up here, getting to see it live was fantastic. See the two teams that we have. Starting the day will be BLG versus RNG. And Amazing J, he's just chillaxing right now. The rest of the team, they're just chilling because they've actually had a bit of time to wait during the opening ceremony. I know Amazing J was taking part of the opening ceremony rehearsals, but you've got to make sure that you're hydrated, you're getting that food in you, getting ready for game one, because it could be a long one up against RNG they will be taking on today. My name is Richard Pulse-Cam. If you have just joined us, I'm alongside Froskirin as well. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How'd you like that that shellacking I gave you?
What? You cheated in that final round. That was 100% you cheated. You changed the rules at the last moment. But thank you very much as well, Clement, who's not on the desk currently, but also helped us out with the translations. And also, he was the host for the final quickfire round between me and Frosk.
Yeah, and he looked much better in these outfits, although I have to say this is actually probably my favorite shirt. Hopefully we get to keep them.
Yeah, honestly, super honored to be able to be here and also to get these outfits. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I want to see if I can keep it afterwards. That would be wonderful.
Wait till you see Rusty's. Rusty's is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. He's going to be casting later as well, so tune in for that one. But let's get into some of these games. So this is week 4 now of the LPL. We have moved onto cross-conference. So all this has changed. If you are new to our region, then this is something new that we do specifically for our league.
Yeah, so how our region works is we've got 7 teams, 2 different conferences, West and East. Some of the teams are locked in by geolocation. And we do a double round robin in intra-conference, which means that everyone in their own domestic league faces twice. We've already completed the first round of that, and now we move on to cross-conference. So you will only see these matchups once unless these teams run into each other in either the playoffs or possibly the finals.
So we're going to show you some of that as well, because we take a look at the schedule. You can see some of our first new games coming at you. And as we said, BLG will be taking on RNG to start the day, and WE and RW. So as you said, for us, this is the only time this split they will be facing each other outside of the playoffs.
And you can see indicated West versus East, which means the question has to be asked, who is actually the stronger conference? And why does that matter? It's because only the top 4 teams in each conference get to move on to the playoffs. So you see where the teams are grayed out, teams like RNG, teams like OMG, right now they're not qualified to go into the playoffs. They still have plenty of time to do so because cross-conference will run from week 4 to week 7, but they need to get it into gear.
If this is your first time watching the LPL as well, this split, then you're probably pretty confused because Snake right now, the top of the scoreboard, along with EDG, along with BLG, IG up there. No real surprise if you've been following the hype of JackeyLove and the rest of the team, but then RW, JD, even LGD managing to make it up there right now. Like, a lot of things have happened in the first 3 weeks of play.
Welcome to the new world order. RNG have been really struggling. They'll get to test their teeth today across from BLG, but right now this is a 5th place team versus a 3rd place team.
That's a crazy thing to say, honestly, coming into this one, but there will be teams we feel who will be benefiting from cross-conference play, so let's take a look at some of those teams. Specifically, Vici and TOP yet to get a single win. Neither of them have a single win yet. Not serious wins. They've managed to pick up 1 win each, but one of them, they cannot go, I won't say undefeated, but it's the opposite of that.
They
so
can't.
The
loss
streak
streak
forever.
ends here.
It has
exactly.
to end.
And then the other 2 teams that we really want to put a magnifying glass are FPX and OMG. And the reason why is they're both sitting 2 and 4 respectively. And the thing is both of them are on the exact same group, and they're in the heavy hitters Western Conference. And the thing is if they look over at the Eastern Conference, both of these teams could theoretically be 3rd, 2nd, or even 1st place. So now they get the chance to actually test that and showcase, yeah, we're still a great team. It's just unfortunately that we got put in the group of death.
I mean, it definitely goes back to what you were saying before of, like, if you look towards both of these conferences, which is actually stronger? And you would definitely look towards West as being the stronger conference just because of the teams that line it, WE, EDG. But when you look at the other side, a lot of teams are starting to step up.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we thought that at the very beginning of the split, I actually wrote an article where I thought that people were going to overestimate or underestimate the Western Conference. Because you look at the Eastern Conference and you have... Wow, I masked that up. The Western Conference has the big names. WE, EDG, OMG, everyone should know those names. But if you look at the Eastern Conference, they've got, you know, the RNGs, the Invictus Gaming. You're like, other than that, I don't know any of these teams. But the teams that you don't know are the teams that are rising up. And actually the reason why we think that the Eastern Conference is so weak right now is because of failures like RNG, the collapse of that team. Invictus Gaming being a little bit inconsistent despite all of the hype that's riding around JackeyLove.
It does seem now, though, that there is starting to be some more separation between, especially like WE, EDG, especially EDG, who are now starting to rise to the top of the West Conference. You look towards IG, yes, there's been inconsistencies, but they're still at the top, and they have at least a game gap between them and everybody else. It is the quote-unquote super teams that I am looking towards, though, like RW, even FPX to a certain extent. Like, all of these teams who have players from teams who are already doing well come together and then come off, for a lot of them, the bench, because a lot of them didn't have the starting roster. Now they can actually move forward, and they've actually looked really good.
Yeah, it's basically taking the diamonds in the roughs of other teams and putting them together, and Rogue Warriors is considered, you know, the super team that came into the LPL. It's got so much experience, but they still need a lot of time to find that synergy, and yeah, they're on the rise, but I don't know actually how much longer it's going to last, because when I look at a team like RW, I'm starting to see some very clear defined weaknesses in terms of their drafts, over-reliance on certain champions like the Gangplank.
Yeah, and that has obviously been a problem for them. But moving into cross-conference now, we'll start taking a look at Bilibili Gaming and RNG, because Bilibili looks rather good so far. I mean, in the first couple of weeks of play, they were right at the very top. Yes, they're starting to drop down just a little now as they face the rest of the teams within their own conference, but they're still up there.
Yeah, and if you haven't gotten a look at Bilibili, what's making them good is their ability to 5v5. And that's what IMA, now known as Bilibili Gaming, have always been good at because of Amazing J. You can see him in Sitter Screen right now. He's going to play things like the Ornn. He's going to play things like the Camille, so a lot of versatility there, but it's still the same old trick. So right now, I feel like the meta has insulated a lot of Bilibili Gaming's strengths right now. And if we move away from these big 5v5 clashes, are they the same consistent top-tier team? Well, in cross-conference, we're going to get the chance to see that.
We will, but maybe not so much for this week because we are sticking on 8.1. So in terms of the meta, it's not going to be changing until we get into Chinese New Year. So BLG, this might be their time to shine.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that cross-conference will only last for 3 days on this patch before it switches over. Now, on the other side, RNG have really been struggling. This has been an absolute collapse of one of our top teams, kind of systematic what we've seen globally. You know, SKT no longer reigning supreme, TSM tripping up a little bit, even G2 and Fnatic having some of their faults. So the LPL isn't immune to that either, and it really starts with kind of the top lane and the jungle positions aren't fitting as well into the 5v5. So you have Bilibili, very strong 5v5 team, and RNG, key positions are failing at those crucial moments.
And you would say, well, if this is a problem with the starting roster, sub someone else in. And they have so many subs behind them, not just in the AD carry pool. They have Abel, Y4, Uzi is still yet to play so far for RNG. Look towards top side, Zatai is now in the top lane, moving out from mid when he was playing on Snake. Look towards the mid lane as well. Yes, Zhao who's there, but he's surrounded by so many different people joining the roster.
And surprise, surprise, Pulse, that's exactly what RNG are going to do. Their starting roster today has Zatai in the top lane, Karsa in the jungle, Xiaohu, Abel, and Ming. So they're continuing to mix up the roster. Still no sign of Uzi. We probably won't see him until after Chinese New Year. But that said, RNG's problems right now, I'm going to echo Clement just a few analyst tests back, are not related to Uzi. This is a shot calling issue. Early game pathing has been a mess from both junglers, MLXG and Karsa, although I'm going to be a little bit less intense on Karsa because I think he hasn't gotten quite the opportunity to really showcase his stuff that MLXG has.
Yeah, but that's a very interesting question when you actually look at RNG as a team, because is moving more people from the bench into the starting roster actually going to solve the issue? Because yes, they get to try different configurations, but we know after some of their losses, they are very knee-jerky, at least with the AD carry pool, looking towards Abel and Y4, usually to just sub the other person in. But then we've seen how this works in the LPL. Like, revolving door rosters is not something that's new to the LPL whatsoever. We saw TOP very much not immune to that last split where they just constantly sub new players in, and at a certain point, like, that's not going to fix the issue.
Yeah, I've always been really against it because I agree with you. I think that you don't even build the synergy, and even on the highest level, if you look at like the SKTs back when they were a dominant team, the rotation between EasyHoon and Faker didn't last. The rotation between Peanut and Blank, you know, they lose that world championship, and now there's one jungler standing. So even at the highest level, I don't think it's the best way to play League of Legends, and I don't think it's the best way to play the team out from RNG here. I believe when we come to playoffs, especially for how competitive Karsa and MLXG are going to be, there will be a starting roster. But for now, the changes that they're making, I feel like it's okay because it's early enough in the split, and it's the fact that they're trying to bring in more veteranship players. The fact that they start with Abel, they move to Y4, the guy who has more experience in the ADC position working with Ming. They start with MLXG, they move to Karsa, a guy who's known for being a shot caller on Flash Wolves. They start with Let Me, they're now moving to Zatai. He's been in the league since 2013. He is a veteran player. So to me, it feels like RNG are pulling at threads to find that leadership, which is clearly broken down in the mid game.
And we'll always have that lens over them watching RNG, because ultimately they should be a top team. But if we are looking at some of the best teams, we should also look at the best players as we take a look at the best of the Rift here as well for our league, because honestly, we've had a lot of people stepping up individually, and that starts with Flandre in the top lane for Snake.
Flandre is having the split of his career. A lot of the things is 2016, 2017, people looked at Flandre like, who is this top laner? You know, why should I care? Because they missed Flandre's height at 2015. Well, 2015 Flandre is back in 2018, and he's the core reason why Snake are thriving on the top of the standings.
Yeah, in that Western Conference. But you have to take a look at Ning as well while you're taking a look at Flandre and Rookie on Invictus Gaming, because Ning, we looked at him at the start of the split, and you yourself, Frost, said that he should be a superstar, someone that we should be looking towards. He's going to grow into that lens, and so far, he's definitely been showing it.
I don't want to use the word superstar lightly. I actually mean it with Ning. He hasn't achieved that status yet. He's only a Saiyan, but he will go Super Saiyan. You look at him statistically, you look at what he's doing for Invictus Gaming, and that's the real threat. Everyone looks at the Jackie Loves, the Shies, the Rookies, and no one is really paying attention to Ning, and I feel like he's the actual threat for IG. As soon as they figure out how to unlock him with Rookie, that's when IG become a first-place team.
And Rookie himself has actually been taking more of a quote-unquote backseat role, but you take a look at the stats, he's still first in almost every single metric. Yes, he's been going towards more supporty champions, something that can set up the rest of his team, but he's still the golden standard when you look towards mid laners.
Yeah, and the guys who aren't taking a backseat like Rookie are iBoy and Mako. EDG is still all about their bottom lane. Mako, of course, their captain, but iBoy has been a superstar in his own right, to reuse the word. His Kalista performance in particular, I believe he's possibly the best Kalista player in the world right now.
Yeah, we saw him yesterday as well take on Mystic and Ben in the bottom lane, so that was a great test to actually see pretty much how the first and second best bot laners go up against each other yesterday, and iBoy did very well for himself. Did die in lane 2 versus 2 though, but that's only like a one hiccup. Also didn't really have that much of an impact on the game at the end.
But it's also how he dies, and you can tell the way that he's doing it. He's either just not paying attention at crucial moments, or there's a miscommunication between him and Mako. It's never that iBoy himself is making a judgment error in terms of a play that he's trying to execute and failing to execute on it. It's simply his arrogance, and that comes with his youthfulness. If you ask iBoy who is the best AD carry, he says me.
Yep. And to be honest, if you look towards that bottom lane as well, it's not just iBoy, because yes, he's played through Worlds, yes, he played a couple of games last split, but I still see this guy as pretty much a rookie, but he's also alongside two more rookies in the top side of the map. He's got Ray, he's got Haro, And this team is still coming together, yet are still at the top of their own conference.
Yeah, and he's just a killer, and he's really the hard carry. Yes, Ray had an incredible performance on his Gnar just the other day, and deserves a lot of compliments there, but EDG are still struggling in terms of their early game, mid-game decision-making.
Yeah, we'll get to see some of that and whether the Eastern Conference can try and exploit that, because we very much have some brawlers over in the east side of the conference. I look towards Suning, for example. They very much want to get in your face. We've seen more macro from them recently, but they really want to go for those 5v5s, just like Bilibili Gaming, who we'll see at the start of the day.
Yeah, and EDG have been outthought before.
They have indeed. And now we're taking a look back at RNG versus BLG, which will be our first matchup here for Week 4 and our cross-conference play. You can see the players on stage as well getting ready for the matchup.
And like I said, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Zatai and Karsa starting for the lineup, as well as Abel joining them next to Ming. So the freshest roster of RNG, Coach Hart standing behind them, has his work cut out for him and how he's going to organize this squad and pick up the pieces of RNG that we saw last week, because they got slaughtered.
I mean, to us, this is the first time that we're seeing everybody on the bench come up, even though they can all be starters in their own right on a different team. But when you look towards RNG, there's just so many strong players at this time. Competing for a starting spot is difficult in its own right.
Yeah, and then you look across the other lineup on Bilibili Gaming, and this is the exact same lineup that we saw from IMA. So this core 5 group have been together forever. The most recent member, of course, being SKS. But here's the lineup: Zatai, Karsa, Xiaohu, Abel, and Ming. The name that's probably going to be the least familiar to fans is going to be Abel. This guy came from solo queue, and he was accused of scripting by Faker. He was that good.
Yeah, his nickname is the Orb Walking Monster. So if you see him on a hyper carry, that's typically what he'll go towards. And we actually saw him in the first series of the split. You know what he played for us? He played Vayne. And he came out, yes, he lost the game, but it was very hype.
And unfortunately, we haven't really gotten to see Abel kind of strut his stuff. I don't think it's necessarily been his fault, but hopefully this time around he gets a good start. On the other side, Amazing J, SKS, Athena, Jinzhao, and Road. And most recently, it's been Athena and Jinzhao stepping up alongside AJ. We know we're going to get a consistent performance from the top laner. Bilibili's success now depends on one of their other carries to step up.
It is very much about team fighting as well for Bilibili. They like to go late. They like to go for those team fights, get into that mid game, and try and start brawling with their opponents here. And against RNG, who look very much fractured right now, I feel like that could be very much a way for BLG to win this game.
But it's a question of is SKS can actually punish RNG where they are fractured, which I believe is actually in their jungle position. Again, I don't believe we've given enough tape or time to Karsa to really judge him heavily, but all he needs to do is control SKS, and the early game should be free for RNG, because Bilibili never put up a fight there.
Yeah, it's a new roster for RNG coming in here. We'll see if their roster can do it, but for now we are going to send it over to our casters to get us into Game 1.
Happy New Year, everyone. Well, not quite yet, but we're getting darn close to it. My name is Dom Romer. Joining me here, we've got Zach Rusty Pie. And what are you doing for the New Year? What are your plans, Rusty?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah. I'm hoping to explore Shanghai when no one is here. I actually think that'll be very exciting. But I'm more excited to get in the games, Dom, I know. So let's get straight to it,
We've got RNG versus
You got it, Bilibili Gaming.
I was caught in between the abbreviation and the full name, and we kept on ramming into the divider there. No, BLG versus RNG here. And as we heard on the desk, this actually could be a good opportunity for RNG to right the ship, because right now, RNG, they have been on a bit of a crash course.
They're not just crashing, they're sinking at the moment. Currently 6th place in their group. They have lost 4 back-to-back sets as well, and they probably should have won some of those sets. LGD is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb if they were performing on the day. And RNG are absolutely not performing close to anything we expect from them, anything we know from them. And we have explained at length as to why in every single time we've seen them play, but unfortunately, the why doesn't make the difference anymore. We're still waiting for the improvements because the why is still true.
We're still looking for it, right? But perhaps it could be the chance today that we get to see Zatai return from last time we saw the team play. Karsa is stepping in for the jungle, so this is the first time we're seeing that combination on the Rift. And Abel is stepping up instead of Y4.
My first speculations were actually that Abel would be working with Karsa and they'll both come in tandem. Of course, since that stage, we've seen RNG bring them all in at different times, but I would actually like if they keep the Karsa-Abel duo and try and rotate in twos, in tandems. But I also think that from the one game we've seen of Zatai, the one Gangplank performance that he had, he looks a lot better than Let Me. and I am very happy to see him starting. I think that's the best case scenario for RNG against Bilibili.
And that's something that's really important because BLG, they're still running with Amazing J, who has been the captain, the shot caller, the heart and the soul of the team for such a long time, picking up both MVPs in their last series against FPX on both Ornn and Vladimir.
Yep.
He's on a roll right now.
He is on an absolute tear through all of the LPL currently. In his last set against Fun Plus Phoenix, like you mentioned, he didn't even die. Like, he's actually just that good right now. Hard carries, made highlight reels. You saw it all just before. And Amazing J, if he continues to play with this form, honestly, I don't know if anyone can beat him in the top lane because he's playing like he is a star.
It really is terrifying because, I mean, Zatai has got to deal now with Amazing J, who is the shot caller, who's known for these teleport flanks. And Zatai, he's the split pusher. He's the guy who's going to be in the 1-4. He's going to be in the 1-3-1, trying to deal with what he now knows to be something scary.
Yeah, Zatai's a bit of a loose unit as well when it comes to pick and ban, when it comes to draft strategies and what he wants to play. But we could also know that he can 1v5. He can actually hard carry for the team. And I think that's what we're looking for with RNG. Someone has to carry.
All right, well, we'll see who that's going to be in this matchup because RNG find themselves on blue side. BLG, with side selection, have opted to take red side here. Already you can see the Gangplank and Camille double target ban towards Amazing J. And then, no surprise, Jarvan taken away from Karsa and Kog'Maw stricken away from Abel.
Yeah, the Kog'Maw takeaway from Abel. Of course, Kog'Maw is actually cropping up as one of the most popular AD carries in the league of the LPL, but his win rate is below 20%. So you do the maths, they're choosing to ban it instead of picking it. I think that's actually now just going to be the staple.
And of course, the Zoe ban to follow it up. And just after that, you know, someday I'll actually have to get you to talk down and tell me why the Kog'Maw is seeing so little success here in the LPL. I mean, we're not going to see it in this game, so it's obviously not worth going into the conversation, but I really think that could be a fun thing to get into. Xayah also being banned away from Abel, so BLG showing some respect to RNG's bottom lane.
It definitely is. 2 AD carries taken off the board. Of course, you could look towards them in your early rotations, but very rarely will you see an AD carry as a first pick, unless there is something like the Ezreal that is the highest priority. Of course, there are much higher priority champions for RNG and much higher priority roles.
Especially that of the mid lane, Xiaohu, picking up the Ryze first pick. Very common champion for him.
That's his most played champion. 5 games played as well out of all that he has played. Xiaohu's one of the few mid laners that plays an abundance of champions, but so far this has been his most prevalent.
Of course, on the other side, Amazing J with a cough and a chortle returns back to that Vladimir that has been so present in the LPL.
That's terrifying, Dom. Giving Amazing J the Vladimir, of course. It has been flexed with BLG through to the mid lane once already this split. It is possible, and so I'm not against them going for the early rotation of it. But at the same time, Amazing J, when he gets the Vladimir, similar to Flandre, one of the few top laners that will actually just carry the whole game.
Well, now we know Zatai, he's going to have to deal with that across from him on the other side of the rift. He's got plenty of time to look for counter picks. There's that Ornn that's still so strong in the LPL, and plenty of other top laners. But RNG looks like they're shuffling through some other champions until the time being. Ming opts for Tahm Kench, perhaps taking a page out of Mako's book here.
Yeah, of course. He likes to play a lot of the tanks in this support role, and a lot of them get banned in the second ban phase. So RNG with a higher priority on that mobility. They didn't want Ezreal and Tahm Kench to be a duo where neither of them can really die anyway. So they go towards the TK, deny that combo. They could actually go towards an AD carry here as well, now that it has been locked in from their opponents. But they risk it being banned when they don't.
Yeah, instead it's Karsa picking up Rengar for himself. Looks like he's saying he's the one who can carry in this game.
Certainly seems that way. Of course, he's got one of the highest damage shares of any jungler in the LPL, second only to MLXG. So RNG's junglers are dealing a whole lot of damage. Makes a lot of sense that he picks up another carry champion, this time specifically a carry champion.
Yeah, that Rengar going to be putting out some big damage. Of course, it will be a little difficult to catch a Vladimir and an Ezreal, and now that the Emperor of Shurima has also been locked in, an Emperor's Divide to keep the cat out of the kitchen.
Athena and Azir is a very iconic duo currently. He has played incredibly when he gets the pick, has been able to hard carry for BLG, and at the moment, I'm saying hard carry a lot, that's because 5 of the first 6 picks have been exactly that, and if you want to classify supports as hard carries, TK is pretty high up there.
Close to 6 hard carries locked in, but BLG now they're on to the next phase. Abel still needs a champion for himself. We're still looking for Zatai's counter pick against that Vladimir. Now that the Azir's locked in, they know that Vlad is going top, unless Vladimir support became a thing while I wasn't looking.
Certainly not. I certainly hope not as well that they don't decide to do that today, but we currently are getting those AD carry bans out, something that we mentioned. RNG with a higher priority over the Rengar than the AD carry role. will now suffer the consequences of that selection. In saying that, they can ban away junglers themselves now that they have the jungle priority.
SKS is going to have to pick up his champion this next round along with Road, but that Alistar has already been taken away from him. So RNG, again, looks like they want to prioritize that bottom lane because as we heard from on the analyst desk, the bottom lane, BLG with Jin Zhao, have been heating up quite a bit. And really, it seems like we're seeing all 5 members of BLG start to find their fire early on in the split.
They certainly are starting to find their footing, and when they warm up, when Jin Zhao and Road get going, no one can keep up with them. So we will see those AD carry bans, and I think the reason we've seen an Alistar on the flip side here from RNG is that Bilibili, I'm doing what you are now, you've got me. BLG need a tank. They definitely need something in the support role that can be reasonably resilient. So with an Alistar banned, with a Tahm Kench locked in, the options start to limit. Braum may even follow here as the next ban, but they opt away.
Ooh, Bard ban away instead. So perhaps Abel looking towards a low mobility AD carry for something that's left. But like you mentioned, that Braum and Road very prominent on the champion. We've seen how if someone can just tag that first hit of the Winter's Bite to slow, it is so easy for the likes of Ezreal or Azir to follow up with this concussive blows.
Yeah, and it's no Lucian, but Ezreal is the next best thing by having the Q to help continue to proc that one. So the Brawl we mentioned and expected to be banned will get locked in. No surprises. Now, you did mention a hyper carry, and I have to wonder if it's something like the Twitch, because Caitlyn is low mobility. Bard could catch Caitlyn out of position, but Twitch is actually stand and deliver type of low mobility that a Bard would absolutely stop.
Yeah, well, we've not seen too many here in the LPL, but it looks like Abel will commit himself towards that Caitlyn. Now that he knows his bottom lane, Caitlyn Tahm Kench versus Ezreal Braum on the bottom half of the map. Abel, the mechanics king. He outranges Ezreal in this matchup, and perhaps he could use those mechanics to try to open up that bottom lane early.
Certainly could. Braum has a big say in that matchup, however, being able to stop those little cupcakes from being a monumental nuisance. We have finished off the team composition here for RNG. They're not doing a snake. They're not flexing the rise. Much more standard.
Instead, it's Cho'Gath going to the top lane. Zatai will be happy to take that against the Vladimir. Well, I mean, nobody's really happy to go against the Vladimir, but as happy as you can be for Zatai in the top lane. And SKS finds himself returning to the high damage threat Kha'Zix in the jungle.
Yeah, now you say that perhaps no one's happy going into the Vladimir, but Cho'Gath is one of the few top laners that is exceptionally happy to be into that matchup. The last time we saw this was actually EDG's top laner, Ray, playing the matchup, and he went Grasp of the Undying, and he went straight into healing and all of his runes to try and sustain through the lane, but that healing that a Cho'Gath gets with Grasp and with his ultimate and his passive is all scaling healing. So he will become super tanky just by sitting in lane, whereas Vladimir does get the damage from it. I think they scale fairly similarly, just in different ways.
We'll have to see how that matchup works out. Again, it's amazing, Jay, the heart and soul of BLG, taking on Zatai, the newcomer to RNG, but no newcomer to the LPL, one of the oldest players in the league with a massive legacy behind him. But now he's merging his legacy with the likes of RNG, and at not the best time.
Is his legacy as a top laner or a mid laner, Dom?
I see it as a mid lane because that's when I actually casted him, but I know from people telling me it's about him as a top laner.
Well, if you don't know, Zatai is a mid laner turn top laner turn mid laner turn top laner, and now he's here as a sub for RNG, and he's become the starter because he's actually just very good at both roles. He's very innovative with his champion selections. This time around, it is just going to be the tank, however, just going to be the Cho'Gath. But still, he is one of those few players that can make a Cho'Gath look like a carry.
We've seen what happens when a Cho'Gath can get a great flank and teleport in from behind. And if anyone is familiar with teleporting, it's probably going to be Zatai, knowing his propensity towards those split-pushing champions. And especially now that we see Karsa on the map as well for RNG, it looks like they might be trying to figure out something new here against the likes of BLG, considering they are on a 4-series loss streak. They've got their work cut out for them.
They certainly have their work cut out for them. And one thing we haven't seen from RNG is consistency with roster. I would like to see the same roster stay for this whole set. To actually grow together, learn together, go backstage and be told exactly what you should do and show the mental resilience.
Well, they've got the fans on their side.
All right, there's 2 people calling out as the leader there, but the overall sound from Bilibili Gaming was reasonably high.
Yeah, quite impressive considering the legacy and length of RNG versus BLG. You can see many Amazing J fans known for his traditional Chinese beauty.
But no fan is as big as Amazing J.
Yes.
He is his biggest fan.
Of
no
course.
one else can compete with him.
As he did step out and say that he himself thinks that he's a very good player and that he is also a very attractive man, which of course led to that conversation. But now we have loaded onto the Rift, Rusty. Looks like a 3-man defensive start from BLG in that Pixel Brush. Xiaohu takes a few early hits from Athena. And everything looks to be calm and standard. Are BLG actually going to invade here? Yeah, they are.
They're going to late invade, look towards the red buff. Now, this will push away the Caitlyn and the Tahm Kench, but we'll see how they play this out because it's 3-on-3.
RNG well aware of this. They start off with the early skirmish. Road, he's got the acquired taste. They're looking for Karsa. Road flashes back. Ming follows. It's first blood for Karsa. The follow-up, and he flashes to safety. Jin Zhao cannot get it.
Oh, Jin Zhao's in trouble.
Jin Zhao's got the acquired taste. And Abel gets another kill. 2-0 RNG.
Well, that's how you start a game off if you're RNG. You see them coming with a ward, you stand and you deliver the damage as well. Rengar, by jumping for the first blood, just jumps away to safety. There's no chance to follow it up. Jin Zhao uses the flash. Bam! Everyone's dead. And RNG just such a big lead at the start of the game.
Yeah, a kill onto Karsa, a kill onto Caitlyn. Heck, the only person who didn't get a kill was Xiaohu and Zitai, who were busy laning on the other side of the map. But now SKS, he's got a leash solo as his bottom lane lumbers their way back to the bottom half of the map.
Now, I didn't get a chance to see this, Dom, so you're going to have to sanity check with me here, but Zitai started with Smite, and it is on cooldown. He's going to the enemy red buff. I don't know where his first Smite went. But he's got a second charge ready.
Yeah, he does have the unsealed spell.
Oh, you know exactly
SKS,
what he's going to do.
No, he doesn't have Smite. He's pulling the red buff away, testing the leash.
It doesn't matter if you pull it away.
It's still only about 10 seconds away before he gets his own Smite back. It resets a bit. Zitai is playing with it. Amazing J has to be calling this out in chat. He has to be seeing this in comms.
Yeah, red buff went to him without leashing, so it's very obvious where he is. Zitai has to go back to lane. Wasted a lot of time.
Amazing J steps out to punish him. A full level ahead with those tides of blood, just trying to get some damage back as Zitai. A little cheeky play to put BLG on the back foot, but you can't fall any further back when you're already down 2-0.
That was certainly some cute stuff attempted there from the Cho'Gath, but ultimately you're right. Nothing really lost, just a couple of minions perhaps here and there. He doesn't really win that lane anyway. He's acknowledged that it's going to be a pretty rough time at level 1, at level 2. Very hard to hit your spells as Cho'Gath. You're actually just there to clip away the minion waves and try and sustain yourself through the damage that Vladimir deals. Less so than just killing him.
Here you can see Athena's stats on the screen. He stepped up quite a bit as a mid laner, still running about middle of the pack, but that damage percent, 4th place. Damage per gold efficiency, very high as well.
Unfortunately for Athena, the stats aren't going to do him a whole lot of justice just from how the split started.
Yeah.
And he's really come back to equalizing those to being middle of the pack. And if you've gone from the worst to the middle of the pack, that shows how well he has been playing of late. And how well he's playing as Azir is a big component of that.
Huge Azir player for Athena. Knows he's up against Xiaohu, one of the best rises in the world. So he'll have to keep himself careful in that mid lane. Still in the bottom, Abel, the newcomer to RNG, the quote-unquote scripter, as called out by Faker.
And we should no longer call him a scripter, of course. He's streamed with his hands visible, just like he's playing Osu. We all know that he's not anymore. But credit for what it's worth, that is a very big thing to call someone.
It is pretty impressive considering he is taking Caitlyn into this Ezreal matchup with unsealed spellbook. So perhaps trying to make a statement once again on the stage saying, hey, I'm just going to win this lane and do that.
Well, he's been set up to win the lane. The level 1 invade from BLG has actually primed him for the best position possible to win lane as Caitlyn into Ezreal. And if Abel doesn't win lane now, then we do have some problems.
Yes.
We're going to have some words with him after.
Some real questions. SKS with the recall. Karsa spots him out and clears a ward. Still, though, it looks like RNG are putting up some early pressure onto this side of the map. Both the red buff, the invade now from Karsa to get vision, even a forward control ward to spot out SKS. Seems like RNG have got a set plan.
The pressure seems to be rather holistic as well. It's not a focal place. They're not all looking at a Drake or something. We're only 5 minutes in. They're walking around. They're just controlling the smaller details of the map as well by clearing away that scrying orb, preventing one of their own wards to die that's in the river. Xiaohu's now going to see SKS as he walks over exactly that. So that one of the small things that you will gain from clearing that ward away. The wards placed on the blue side of the jungle by Karsa also does indicate where SKS is going to be standing. So the forethought there to try and give themselves just that little bit of tempo, that little bit of edge, and it's reminiscent through the amount of CS as well.
So as an ex-pro player, Rusty, is this something that is reactionary after seeing, hey, we've got an early advantage after countering the cheese? Or is this a pre-planned strategy from RNG coming into this matchup?
It's in part reactionary. The level 1 gives an advantage, and lane control gives an advantage to Xiaohu, so he has the ability to move out of lane and do these things. It's not so much that you come into a game knowing you're able to do something more than, I can do this because I'm winning lane, or we know where the jungler is because Karsa's winning in the jungle, so let's try and find him before he tries to find us, then we can make the counterplay. I think the best ganks in League of Legends are counter ganks when they don't see it coming, because you have to use spells to close distance to actually start a gank. And if the other jungler is there, he may not have to use the same amount of spells to get in position.
Well, with Karsa and the rest of RNG so aggressively tracking SKS, that might be exactly what they're looking for. Already some very forward wards from BLG to make sure there isn't a Rengar leaping out of any brush towards them down in that bottom lane. Jin Zhao with his first recall picks himself up a tier against a full BF sword from Abel.
Yeah, that BF sword
that's a painful
coming
laning
from the early kills there for the Caitlyn as well. Laning phase does not get any easier for him. Upgrading his Targon's Praise feels like the desperation acknowledgement that I am going to lose lane, so I need more stacks of getting health back. That is where they're at.
Try to sustain against the poke that you know is going to be coming at you. Minion dematerializer from the Ezreal Jin Zhao to clear out the cannon minions. He knows he's going to be taking some punishment as the wave is slowly chipping away the health on this turret. Up top, Zatai is even pushing into Amazing J now that he's picked up level 6 with that feast.
And has the catalyst as well.
Continuing to pressure into the jungle. Nowhere is safe for SKS.
And this is one of those WE style games where if the siege continues, if the Caitlyn gets the first turret, even if he goes back, swaps to teleport and continues to push, and they just bring Caster down for pressure. They don't need to go for kills in this game. RNG can just siege their way to a 4,000 gold lead, have an item advantage, then teamfight their way to victory. Ultimately, you're looking at that as a very real possibility unless something changes for the BLG side.
Of course, that being said, this is RNG on a 0-4 loss streak. It's been their leadership and communication that has cost them so many games, not necessarily their mechanics. This is the chance for them. They've picked up the early kills. They've got the play set before them. We've even identified it before them. Now they just need to pull it off, and it looks like they might be on the right track by stealing away the blue of BLG.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, there was a control ward there from BLG at the blue buff, so Caster chooses to smite it. Gives no opportunities for a Kha'Zix to be level 6 just around the corner and steal that with the smite himself. There's also going to be their own blue up and available. So the first big moves you would say from RNG is taking the blue. But if they can defend their own, then it's actually a big move that is a win.
Well, now you can see BLG making a play for it. Amazing J is shoving up top. Looks like Xiaohu is trying to catch this wave in the mid lane, but Karsa, he's on track with SKS.
Amazing J is unlocked as well, and even a small victory here for BLG is just preventing it from going to Xiaohu, more so than just giving it over to anyone else on their team. Athena doesn't necessarily need it. Best case scenario is he gets it. We'll have to see how they play it.
Yeah, Smite is up for SKS, and it looks like RNG are just going to have to give this up with the wave pressure from BLG. Even BLG know the play that's coming.
Yeah, good first moves there from BLG proactively for what feels like the first time this game after the invade, which was a giant whoopsie. They've managed to give themselves a blue buff in the mid lane, and now that's the best case scenario, like we mentioned. The reason that's the best case is that Athena wins mid now. There is no way that a Ryze can beat an Azir without having recalled and teleported to lane to be strong. That gives a free recall to Athena because he can clear the way. So having the blue buff compensates for the lack of teleport. It allows him to come back with perfect timing.
Well, the recall has actually just been canceled for Xiaohu, so Athena gets the opportunity to be a bit of a pest.
That was really unfortunate for Xiaohu. He thought that Athena had backed. Athena was recalling and cancels it at the last second as well. So
yeah,
they mind gamed each other. Athena wins because of it.
Wave crashes in.
And
you can see Ming is getting pulled just in case something were to happen. With so many unsealed spellbooks in League, you never know how many people are going to try to dive you mid lane 10 minutes in. Still, the wave is cleared out, and it looks like Xiaohu is set to recall. Zatai still farming up in the top lane. He's picked up his slightly magical brown bags and is starting to get some more harass back against Amazing J. The map seems to be relatively close to even, though RNG about 1,300 gold ahead. A lot of that is in the pockets of Karsa and Abel, who so far have just been doing their jobs, farming up bottom and farming up the jungle.
A whole bunch of that is on Abel, and I think for RNG, they should now start to bring other members towards the bottom side of the map, start looking towards taking that turret down. We're at 11 minutes in the game, and it feels like between Road and Jin Zhao, they've been able to stem the bleeding. It's a tier Ezreal, and they're still holding on. They're preventing the waves from pushing at the correct timing, and they're not getting hits onto the turret as much anymore, though it is low.
Very chunked away by that Caitlyn a little bit earlier. Looks like Karsa sets his sight on the Dragon instead. BLG seem even to be predicting the dive. They've brought Athena. They've got SKS. Amazing J is holding on to his teleport. Dragon is taken, and Abel still getting some chip damage onto this turret, so it is looking like a bit of a 2-for-1 here, but Athena trying to trade back and punish RNG for being out of position. Still, nothing comes of it.
Athena just got massively out-traded, though, and is going to have to use all of his potions to even keep up in this lane. However, Xiaohu's out of mana, so Athena's actually much more relevant for any fights that break out on the map due to no teleport from this rise. So with the Drake being freely given over to RNG, Xiaohu will be counting his blessings that it's actually, in fact, an ocean. To get some mana regeneration, may be able to contribute.
Finally get some mana back in that mid lane. Tyr and Catalyst can give you quite a bit as Abel with a good sidestep. Showing us how he earned that old moniker, but stepping forward. Now, Karsa's actually hanging out here as well, just in case SKS wanted to come punish the aggressive Caitlyn.
Yeah, there was a ward placed over the wall by SKS, revealing that there was someone nearby, so Karsa steps into the bush, hoping that an unsuspecting Kha'Zix may jump over and try and clear away that ward, but not today. SKS is going back over to his other side of the map, and still with Karsa being there, with that presence there, all it'd take is a stiff breeze and some added pressure, and they may take that first turret and then be able to rotate that gold lead around the map.
Well, Rusty, looks like the wind is blowing in a southerly direction as RNG are still pushing into that bottom lane. SKS is nowhere to be found. He's up by the Herald, and Karsa looks like he's missing as well. It's up to Abel and Ming to look to finish this off.
SKS is actually doing the Herald. It looks like that's going to be the game plan. Trade it away. They may lose the first turret, sure. It won't be this wave, but that Herald could actually give them a turret themselves. They're able to lock that one down and secure it.
Road is buying time with the Unbreakable to allow SKS to take that Herald. As Xiaohu even shadowing bottom just in case.
Tower's gone this wave. The Rift Herald should also coincide in timings. It will just be solo gold to Abel. However, if Ming wants to leave, he does want to leave.
You sound like an annoyed AD carry. If my AD carry would kindly leave the turret, so like, or excuse me, support could leave the turret.
I'm a support player, and it's gone full circle. You know, like, I want to contribute to the gold as well, but in a double relic shield meta, I'm happy to leave.
Yeah,
I'm happy to have that extra gold from just farming the wave. You can have the turret, it's fine.
That income is just so high. The turret was finished off. First brick split between Abel and Ming. Rift Herald, meanwhile, picked up by SKS.
Oh, no, it was solo.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I did see the assist icon for Ming.
650 gold.
Oof, that's a lot of money. Here we go. Here's the big spend. Is it straight to the Infinity Edge with Zerker Greaves?
Well, with the build that he's currently got, yes, it is. He's going to have to go towards the Infinity. If he completes the full Infinity Edge, he may even have a dagger on top of it. Let's have a gear chase, why not?
That's a very painful Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's a Caitlyn that's about to walk up to another lane if he chooses and one-hit that lane, push them out, and start to threaten the turret.
Well, luckily for BLG, Abel's actually making his way back down to the bottom side of the map, perhaps trying to trade back against BLG, as Jin Zhao with his finished Iceborne Gauntlet pushing in towards the turret.
And having that Iceborne Gauntlet for added armor, of course, as well as the wave clear, will do wonders for the side of BLG. May actually help stop RNG from sieging, from pushing, if they can be there at the correct timing. But they do need to be there in advance.
Take a look at BLG right now, though. They've got 3 members on the middle of the map. It was just 4 with Jin Zhao, who's now heading back bottom. And SKS is setting up a lot of vision on this side with the Rift Herald in his pocket. Could we see a play building down here?
It makes
or is
you
it just
wonder.
Safe vision?
Yeah, it makes you wonder if the play was actually going to be for the bottom lane. That is a lot of vision placed in an area that is not necessarily relevant to BLG, more so just to spot RNG. The fact that RNG haven't lane swapped means that they're a little bit afraid of what's going to happen. There is a Rift Herald that can be placed still by SKS, and perhaps that's why RNG have stayed on the bottom side of the map, is that they don't actually want to lose the turret for free by going towards top lane. So ultimately they stay. It means that BLG's vision is good. It is well placed, and it gives them opportunities perhaps to have a numbers advantage and actually summon the Herald.
So far, BLG are just hanging out in their lanes. SKS with the jungle clear as is standard. Meanwhile, Zatai and Amazing J have just been high-fiving each other non-stop on this top half of the map. Frost Queen's Claim versus Abyssal Mask. There are some pings on the bottom half of the map, but still, with junglers missing, it looks like nothing might be brewing unless RNG want to prove me wrong here.
They're walking over wards as well as the Scuttle Crab, so fully aware that they're being spotted right now. RNG just trying to re-establish themselves into the middle lane. They have pushed bottom very far out and know that both BLG members are there. So if they wanted to, they could push, but so much caution from RNG. In this mid game, with a composition that sieges so well, they're choosing to not siege anywhere.
Could this be coming back to that leadership question that we're talking about for RNG?
I think this is just basic fear and added respect to BLG.
Really?
I do think a lot of that is contributed to by the Herald that SKS could place and the fact that he's hovering on the bottom side of the map the entire time. But now there's a Drake up in 40 seconds. Any window of opportunity to siege on the other side of the map is well and truly gone. They have to establish themselves for the Drake.
It's so interesting seeing the fear and respect out of RNG, who last split were one of the teams that were most well known for completely disrespecting their opponents. Not as in disrespecting making them mean, but as in they play with nameplates off. They don't care if you're the best in the world or the lowest tier. They play the same, and they will try to beat you the same way. But this time RNG, they've got some new element with these new players, and it seems to be taking a bit of a slower pace. As you said, though, Dragon is up in 10 seconds.
This
Herald
is well
being summoned mid, and BLG could be trying to push in 2 places here.
You have to wonder who they're going to send RNG to deal with that. Abel is currently there with Ming now. It's a Tom Kench, so they can rotate immediately. But if they rotate, teleports are actually coming in. They're going straight for it.
Yeah, Zatai is right behind them into 4. Xiaohu flash forwards with the snare. They've managed to catch SKS, a good 3-man rupture from Zatai, but he's stalled out. They've killed the jungler. True Shot Barrage splits in between everyone and misses. And so far, RNG are the ones who've proved they've got the mechanics. Jin Zhao has to step back. Amazing J with the early Hemoplague can't do anything. And RNG take the kill and take the dragon.
A team with a gold lead actually plays it calmly. They get both wins in the end as well. They deny the mid lane outer from falling, and they get the team fight. You would contribute a lot of that to Zatai with the teleport placement, with the positioning, and the fact that he has a stopwatch. So whilst he gets a great knock-up before he is crowd controlled, he's also able to stopwatch afterwards, prevent them from killing him. And when you've got a tank teleporting in against SKS, who is the competition from BLG, trying to hold on for his life, well, the Kha'Zix is going to die much sooner.
Absolutely. Now that does mean that it's 3-0, about a 3,500 gold advantage for RNG. Still playing a slow game against the likes of Bilibili Gaming. Perhaps very cognizant of the fact that they only get to play against BLG once in the cross-conference. They only get this one chance to try to remind them who is the uncrowned king of the LPL.
Of course, the beauty of cross-conference being that you only play the teams once. You play your own group twice.
Yep.
So you're absolutely correct that when you come into cross-conference, the free points that are there for every victory, you should be taking cross-conference much more seriously. Every game matters, crucially.
Now with Abel finishing off this static Shiv in the mid lane, he's going to be able to clear quite a bit of minions.
Abel is so set up to succeed in this game. If ever there was a time you want to see this Caitlyn have an insane performance, you want to see Abel have an insane performance, this is the one.
Look at that CS difference. 50 minions ahead of Jin Zhao. We spent the pregame talking a little bit about how Jin Zhao is heating up. Well, Abel seems to be making a statement here.
He's been able to follow the... I hate that his name is Abel.
Yeah.
You just... The amount of times that you subconsciously now think about the word Abel and use it in a sentence, it's obnoxious. Anyway, he followed up and continued to get a goal lead. Compliments of what happened at level 1. So he's able to continue to accelerate that fact.
Shows that he has that capacity here as Xiaohu steps forward and trades a bit. The Abyssal Mask allowing him to trade back quite happily with those 2-3 members of BLG. And now the Caitlyn has been swapped into the mid lane. Now she's happily going to start chipping away at the turret. But her opponent is an Azir with blue buff.
Yeah, you're not getting the turret.
Yeah.
There's also an Ezreal and a Braum hanging around nearby. They will have to go back bottom soon. Cho'Gath versus Vladimir. One of them has teleport up in about a minute. The other is running Ghost currently, so Amazing J has to be physically present before a fight happens. He can't just teleport in. You can see the clear synergy between Ming and Abel as well.
It's the small things, making sure that they're on the same page to clear the wards.
But they're not getting this turret. They could go top lane. They could perhaps transition their power towards a Vladimir who can't really wave clear safely. He has to be in melee range to clear away minions. You can't just do an entire wave with a Q. You find a cannon wave, you go forwards, you use traps, you zone him away. You might chip away at the turret, but still they sit mid. They continue to farm, and I don't know if that's something different from RNG, if it's actually caution from them, but they're playing this one out very, very safely. They're not going to make the extra added risk of a move towards top lane.
We've hardly seen Karsa invade into the enemy jungle. Even SKS has been invading more so. And now, finally, as 3 with Abel and Ming, they step forward and start getting some wards on this top side of the map. Of course, after the 20 minutes, the Purple Worm is the next big, scary objective.
Yeah.
But before that, there will be another Mountain Dragon, and it looks like our top laners have split to the other side of the map.
They have, so the priority completely shifted, of course, towards the Baron area. Lots of pressure here from Zatai. It should never be kill threat. If you're getting a summoner from him, then it's a big win from a Cho'Gath. That's probably the best you can hope for. But ultimately, with that pressure, they caught Azir recalling. He doesn't have a teleport. You can see the wards that were placed as a result of that.
Now, Amazing Jay, with his own recall, has swapped over to teleport, so perhaps he's even preempting that next big fight. As the bottom lane for RNG put up to that top half, Athena still hanging out in this mid lane. He doesn't have blue buff, but he has finished off his Void Staff for as much damage as he can possibly get right now.
And finally, RNG they've re-established themselves in a side lane, and they were looking for pressure. And you know what? We cleared a whole wave and whole wave. And it's time to back.
And whole wave. Well, hey, they're up to 4,000 gold ahead of BLG now, so small advantages. RNG, oh my gosh. RNG remind me of 2016 Vici, 2015, 2016.
I was worried you'd say Vici.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Small advantages.
Something about RNG makes me feel like that's not going to be how the game continues. But so far, they have been playing this one particularly slowly.
Very safe play from RNG, despite having a 4-kill advantage, a 4,000 gold advantage, and 2 dragons. But now Abel shows himself on the top half of the map along with Ming. And Mountain Dragon's up in 45 seconds.
And it's not just those two that are up there. Actually, the Cho'Gath is walking back to the top side. He has the teleport. So you can tell that RNG's attention, RNG's focus is completely shifting back down to the Drake, you would imagine. Or they're going to hard pressure this Baron when the Drake spawns.
Perhaps try to force a reaction out of BLG to look for some more kills and try to find another opportunity. That Caitlyn back in the mid lane, still Xiaohu pushing bottom.
But Jin Zhao's top is the Ezreal. And there is a Drake in 15 seconds. I can only imagine that Caster will just go and solo it right now as well. Free Drake, easy as you'd like for him. But Zatai's currently looking for Jin Zhao.
Rupture lands the knock-up. Feral Scream plus some auto attacks. Karsa's racing up there as well. Flash is used. That's a stopwatch, but another Rupture is going to miss. Zatai happily tanks it, and they finally find their 3rd kill, but BLG are collapsing to look for these follow-ups. Amazing Jay and SKS trying to defend as even Xiaohu teleports in.
They were looking for it, BLG, but they choose not to take it. The fight proving too risky for them, of course, once their AD carry is already gone. And Jin Zhao overextends himself quite severely to be made pay by a Cho'Gath, and all it takes is Rengar's ultimate. He burps and immediately dies.
Yeah, you would imagine that the Ezreal would be safe. He's got the Arcane Shift, he's got the Flash, he's got the ability to run away with heal and stopwatch, but still, heavy dive from RNG to follow up with that kill.
Yeah, not when there is a Cho'Gath that has already hit the Rupture in the first place. It does force you to use the Arcane Shift very early on into the piece, and then you can just get taken down.
Now that Caitlyn, 3 items, Rapid Fire Cannon, Static Shiv, Infinity Edge. She is going to hit like a truck, stack up a headshot, and hit someone once. 2,000 full gold ahead of his lane opponent. Xiaohu sitting even with Athena. And RNG are now going to use this advantage to finally break down that Mountain Dragon.
Xiaohu's just been a sidewave bot this whole game. You never see the rise. He's actually invisible, but that's because he's off farming waves that you don't get to see.
You mean we have a rise?
Apparently.
That's what Abel is saying right now. And still, Karsa sitting 2,000 gold ahead of SKS. 50 jungle creeps, nearly 50 jungle creeps.
But who is going to kill Zatai? RNG have found themselves 4K ahead with a nigh on unkillable top laner with an adaptive helm completed. Even now going towards some extra armor, there goes any chance of Jin Zhao and SKS picking him apart. It's going to be a full team effort if they endeavor to remove Cho'Gath from the Rift.
And the time that it takes to kill Zatai, RNG will happily be killing someone else on BLG. Ain't nobody quite that tanky as the Cho'Gath.
You know, riddle me this as well. He has his stopwatch, it's been used. Do you expect a Cho'Gath to ever build a Zhonya's Hourglass? Because he could sell that for money.
Excellent question,
and
yeah.
he could buy control wards with that money.
Well, it's not always about winning
he has
efficiently.
One ward that's about to expire up there. Xiaohu.
Whoa, he's actually taking a lot.
Oh, no,
that's
not what you wanted at all.
That's called the minimap click, ladies and gentlemen. Jin Zhao puts the kill, puts the shutdown onto Xiaohu.
Oh, that actually just hurts your soul watching that happen. That's just the opposite direction. I'm going to say it was a minimap click as well. I agree with you, because there's no way you accidentally click on top of both of the enemies. You hate to see it.
Hate to see that happen. Xiaohu, the first death of RNG. It's actually been a perfect game up to this point. They haven't given up a dragon or a turret or any other kills.
But the comebacks begin. Xiaohu's tilted. The game's over.
Oh, boy. Still, I mean, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deficit so far. RNG, they're holding mid, they're holding top. Here's that play again.
We get to see it again.
He just overextends, it looks like.
He was happy to 1v1 against Jin Zhao. He can totally pick him apart. He's got the Seraph's Embrace added shield here as well. And then he's like, I am safe. I am not safe. And he spreads his arms out wide. He ends up behind enemy lines.
Yeah, not quite the greatest play from Xiaohu, but hey, everybody has off days. Everybody has off days. 27 minutes in, RNG, they're still sitting on a 3,500 gold advantage over BLG, but still taking it so slow and respectful, so patient. And my concern is that this might actually be giving opportunities for BLG to get back into the game. If they find more picks like this, that gold lead isn't going to matter for anything.
Well, the gold lead hasn't stretched. They've broken one structure this entire game, and that is the bottom lane outer turret that the 2v2 got of their own volition. They controlled the outcome of that. And you're right, opportunities are there. If the mid lane outer turret is standing, if the top lane outer turret is standing, then the vision that BLG can place, particularly around the Baron, you're seeing it right now, it's almost insurmountable for RNG to take it down without BLG knowing, let alone being there to actually fight for it. Realistically, RNG need to get those outer turrets before they make a play, and BLG still have the inside track because Xiaohu's never here.
Yeah, we did talk about how scary the siege composition was for RNG. Well, it seems like we might not even see a siege as Xiaohu on the split push takes the second turret of the game. Bottom tier 2 has been broken as looks like the 1-3-1 for RNG is the plan, and they are sticking to it.
He's doing his best Exile cosplay, it feels like, at the moment. He doesn't want to group. He refuses to group because he can zone his Hourglass. And ultimate, his way to safety if anyone comes near him. RNG, they have resorted to split push Rise. 1-3-1. And it is very hard to siege against the Caitlyn. That is true. BLG may not have the best siege themselves as well, but that Baron is standing to attention like a prize that they may look towards if Xiaohu just stays down there.
Still, we're seeing SKS vigilant as ever, placing ward after ward 2 levels behind Karsa. It's a lot of smite damage as Athena now heads top to try to cover Zatai. Looks like Karsa steps forward, still holding on to the thrill of the hunt though.
Yeah, Athena is close to the important objective, of course, of the top lane near the Baron. The outer turret is something that he is able to defend as well quite readily. This 1v1 can dictate the game.
Ooh, Amazing J steps forward, Emo Plague, and heals himself back up to full. Xiaohu, he's looking like he's got some pretty fast fingers, but doesn't matter when you heal for, what was that, 900 damage?
Yeah, there is a Void Stuff there for Amazing J as well. So in the long run, when you look at the sustain, the Vladimir should be able to push the Rise back. I am still sensing that BLG comeback, Dom, unless something breaks soon for RNG. They're giving a very clear-cut chance to their opponents.
Ever the Hail Mary team, BLG. It's actually a strategy they haven't been
they
using
go.
lately. But Barrett started out by RNG. BLG rushing to
SKS
defend.
is nearby.
He's got that smite ready. A full
Oh,
level
they're
down.
smiting.
Teleport coming in. They leap forward.
He
It's
gets
stolen! BLG stealing the Baron. They don't even kill SKS. They let him leave.
And the smallest violin I've ever found starts to play quietly, Dom, as RNG's hopes and dreams start to dwindle because they chose to start the Baron. And as we mentioned, with those turrets there, The fact that BLG can just walk over casually. The fact that RNG can't place deep vision because of those turrets. Look what happens.
No one is defending mid lane, Rusty. BLG, they rush, they break down the tier 1 as is expected, but they sprint forwards and break a tier 2 with it.
Well, they trade.
Zatai will take the top tier 1, but Dragon's up in 10 seconds. It looks like that's the vision RNG was trying to set up in that area. And there's still 5 members.
It was 4,000 gold until this happened. SKS wins the Smite battle. In the end, against a Cho'Gath, against a Smite and a Cho'Gath. There's a possibility that BLG shouldn't have got that.
They're fighting here. RNG steps forward. Zatai races out with the home guard. Rupture onto 2. Xiao, who's trying to catch himself back up. SKS has fallen. Road leaping away. Realm Warp is going to send that really big Cho'Gath right onto them. It's a double kill now as Xiao, who continues to chase it out with Abel. Big damage. Athena is dead. A triple kill. Athena trying to chase it. It's Amazing J sprinting back to base. 3 members of BLG are dead.
And RNG do actually stand strong in this case. They turn it back around at the Drake, and they get a triple kill for Abel. Perhaps he's found his carry feed in this game now. 7-1 is the scoreline. The Baron buff does wonders for BLG, but how quickly that starts to get taken away.
Yeah, that raw stat advantage for Abel, putting out huge damage numbers. Karsa soaks a hit on the side, but it looks like RNG are replicating the play that BLG just made.
Whoa,
Abel steps forward. Oh no, he flashes and tries to heal himself up, but dies to the point and click of Amazing J. That's going to be a Amazing J. And Amazing J gets a second one. Zatai now, but Amazing J, he's still feeling it. He sidesteps one, he's so low. Does not get the transfusion and goes down.
This game is coming down to individual plays as well from these teams. Amazing J so close to surviving. And how many times we've seen a Vladimir at 10 health press Q, get 1,300 back and survive completely. Not the case. Amazing J will go down this time because Xiao, who was there to put down a lot of extra damage, and the Flash Feast is the difference there from Zatai.
Now 32.5 minutes in, it's a 6,000 gold advantage for RNG. So when it's all said and done, they finally did manage to break apart the game, Rusty.
They just
not quite as clean as they expected.
Forced and lost to Baron, and suddenly they're able to find an advantage from it. Something that you wouldn't expect to ever say. RNG, a team that is not very clean right now running around on Summoner's Rift.
Certainly not.
BLG are able to prey on them at times.
Somebody get this team some Windex because they are not making some clean plays. 33 minutes in, RNG still trying to push their advantage back against BLG, but still being respectful. They're up massively in items. They've got the 6-kill advantage, and they're just cleaning out their own side of the map, making sure there's as little chance as possible for BLG to get back in. But BLG still found a way.
And you know, Abel is very hard to kill right now as well. He's got his Bloodthirster, he's got the Overheal, and he's actually got a Hex Drinker on top of that to try and prevent a lot of Amazing J and Athena's damage. I think as far as players on the map go, Abel is very far ahead of the clock, and he is going to be nigh on impossible to kill as an AD carry, as long as he is auto-attacking throughout all of that time. And so you look over at BLG and you're like, okay, how can we stop Abel from auto-attacking? What crowd control do we have to actually lock him down? Braum. Yeah, it's actually just Braum. The only way that they can kill Abel right now is because he doesn't have a QSS. He went for Hex Drinker. Braum needs to touch the Caitlyn.
It's going to be tough for Road to close the gap, but we'll see if he can manage to pull it off. As Abel, a full 100 CS. Flame Horizon, his opponent. Karsa lands the bola. He's found SKS. Stealth sidesteps, but Abel with the headshot sends SKS back to base.
They're looking for top lane as well. Rengar has used his ultimate.
That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage to carry Abel towards Athena. And still, the wave crashing in just in time. Meanwhile, Xiaohu, he's dueling with Amazing J. You said this matchup could dictate the game, but it is only going to buy time for RNG to push top.
In this case, SKS is the one caught out of position, trying to do his red buff with no control on that side of the map. So he overextends himself for the purpose of getting the buff. He is made to die for exactly that fact, and RNG are able to pick up on knowing where he is, take him down. Credit to RNG for making the play. In the bottom lane 1v1, we're starting to see Xiaohu just beat out Amazing J. As that 1v1 goes, that could actually be an inhibitor and perhaps an avenue to the game if BLG get caught out, if Amazing J actually dies in that 1v1.
Certainly could be a scary proposition for BLG if the heart and soul of the team, the shot caller, the Miracle Man himself, ends up dropping.
But I mean, ultimately we have Flame Horizon in the AD carry role, so we have to kind of keep most of our attention towards that.
Abel's still doing massive work. 20 CS ahead for Xiaohu, 100 CS ahead for Abel. Jin Zhao, yeah, he's still doing some pretty big numbers. 800 damage on a non-headshot auto. That's going to hurt if he ever manages to find Athena, SKS,
the state of Caitlyn right now.
Yeah.
The Statelyn.
The state of Caitlyn. Yes, the classic. Still plenty of defensive vision from BLG. They're trying to keep their options open. Look for that miracle play. Look for that Hail Mary.
Oh, and if any team's going to do it, it's BLG. Yeah. They're fully aware of themselves wanting to have a 35 to 40-minute team fight. They want to make that crazy teleport play to the other side of the map after they win it. Somehow there was a minion wave that they had set up that no one noticed. But in this game, it's a 1-3-1 from RNG. They're not allowing that side wave to push. They're not allowing any momentum to BLG, and they are trying to just pressure cooker them, just prevent them from having anything, suffocate them, get a pick, win the game from that pick. But right now, it's Elder and Baron coinciding with timing. Unfortunately for RNG, both up at the same time. It's very hard to split your vision.
1 second difference between the two of them, but now it looks like they've got plenty of wards on that top side of the map. Karsa finally invading with some assistance from Zatai, set up a plethora of vision. Meanwhile, the bottom half is almost completely dark. Xiaohu,
they've actually completely grouped as 5 mid right now, and they are running it down the mid lane with this wave. 10 seconds till Baron. We'll see where they move, because RNG are not falling for it. They are continuing to split push.
But look who's behind them. Karsa and Zatai.
Oh, they can absolutely steal this.
Sitting on that blast plant.
I think that's the game plan.
They're looking for the miracle play. Zatai suddenly over the wall. Surprise! He shows up. Karsa leaps in, and the Baron is stolen by the Feast. Flash out from Zatai. He still dies as Karsa leaps to safety, but BLG, they want blood. Xiaohu's on an inhib in the meanwhile. And Karsa continuing to run for his life.
Xiaohu hasn't stopped as well. He's going towards the end of the game.
Yeah, he's only got 2 more minions. Finally, it's going to go down, but now BLG...
Someone has to recall.
They're looking towards the Elder Dragon. Athena's finally there to start trying to clear this out. He's lost 1 Nexus turret, and that's the recall. BLG, they are split between a Rock and Xiaohu. They are trying to decide the Abyssal Voyage. Abel's trying to close the game right here. He does so much, but the recall has been finished. The Nexus itself is the target. They just need to finish it off. That's going to be a good Emperor's Divide, but Abel, he's got the fingers, he's got the mechanics to close out the series with his dying breath.
They made it harder for themselves than necessary, perhaps, RNG, but the victory is theirs in the end. And BLG, they were pressured, they were completely choked out, and on the verge of losing the game, they choose to make the desperation play. I mean, ultimately, you look at this, and the MVP is Zatai and Karsa for getting the Baron, which allows the bottom lane to push as aggressively as it did. BLG, if they just got that Baron, they may have been able to hold on.
Absolutely. And of course, I should clarify, RNG closed out the game, not the series. This is a best of 3, and RNG now need to prove that they can do it again against BLG. And things definitely started off great for them with that early double kill, but RNG still so respectful. Look at that slow increase in gold.
They did make BLG work hard to stay in the game with how slowly they started to push forwards, amass a lead, and a lot of the credit does have to go to Abel for being able to do most of the work in the end. Of course, he did kill the Nexus, but with the way RNG played, with the way that they executed on the game, it wasn't the cleanest thing you've ever seen from them. In fact, they gave opportunities to BLG to come back into it here and there, and it makes you wonder, you know, if BLG were one of the best teams in the league, they probably would have beaten RNG in this game.
I mean, again, RNG, they're on a 0-4 series loss streak right now. You saw that despite the win, despite the constant pressure from RNG, Jin Zhao out-damaged Abel in that matchup. Athena out-damaged Xiaohu.
I mean, my eyes always go towards the first Baron as well. The poke that you were seeing out of BLG was enough to get the damage numbers, but the mistakes were macro to me.
Yeah, they certainly were. Well, now it's up to our analysts to break down what really happened.
Thank you so much, Dom. And we do need to rewind. Oh, I shouldn't have used that word. Oh, rewind just a little bit. So let's go to Champion Select and start this one off here. So the draft, you look towards RNG, there was very much, or rather BLG, there was a lot of priority on the AD carry pool. There was a ton of bans, and then you go for this edge, and you're like, okay. But then as the draft evolves, it's like, hang on, RNG just have all winning lanes now.
Yeah, so RNG did get 3 winning lanes, and that's where I really want to start is focusing on the mid lane. Like, I understand that this game really went out the window at pretty much like level 1, a botched invade, suddenly Karsa has first blood, suddenly Caitlyn has a kill to her name. But the genius between Ryze and Azir. So Azir right now has a massive presence globally. He has a higher win rate. I believe it's 54% in the LPL, massive ban rate. And Ryze sits around a 45% win rate against Azir. I love Ryze into Azir because of the different windows that he can play around. He has priority push at around level 7, and we started seeing that with Xiaohu. As soon as he was able to shove the Azir in, taking the minion dematerializer so he can deal with Azir's early shove, it was constantly contesting the blue buff. I believe Athena had to go without 2 blue buffs back to back, and by constantly cheating bottom lane, the Caitlyn Kench lane that already got that gifted kill to them early, were already going to naturally win. That was about a 20 to 30 CS hold at around 10 minutes in favor of RNG's bot lane, and all Xiao had to do is use his priority and then cheat down towards that lane and get that tower at around 13 minutes. And why that was so important is how it set up the dragon play.
Yeah, and that opens up. So let's go ahead and take a look at this replay here, because it definitely illustrates the point that you're trying to make here, Frost, where this has opened up the play, and they're now able to go for this dragon fight.
Yeah, so everyone's going to pay attention to the team fight, but the big thing were the wards. The fact that Zatai was actually able to get a teleport onto the back line and get into that back line and cause disruption. This is actually the wrong dragon fight.
This is the second fight, yeah.
But the only reason they were able to get that vision down there is because the tower went down so early, and normally RNG aren't able to push the towers that quickly. They're not able to get the vision, and they're not able to open up teleports. So the fast push strategy worked out beautifully. Mid lane was on the right page. They were using the matchup. Even Athena played that well, taking presence of mind on Azir and pretty much just sacking the fact that he was ever going to get a blue buff, was never struggling for mana. Even SKS taking the Rift Herald as bot tower was going down simultaneously. So all in all, I actually think BLG absorbed a lot of those losses in the early game that RNG were doing well. But then they never continued their fast push strategy. These are the mid-game decision makings that we're talking about, and we do have a replay to illustrate it best.
Yeah, because that was the problem there, because as you said, those 2 early kills going over to BLG, that would, to the opposite side of RNG, that accelerated the problem. We are going to take a look at this Baron replay here, because this is where it kind of went awry for RNG. Everything was going pretty well up to this point. They looked like a different team. It was night and day from what we've seen so far from RNG, but then they pulled this.
And there's literally no reason to make this play. So check out where Athena is. He's currently behind the pit, but just a few seconds ago, he was actually up into the top lane. And the thing is the other reason why I really like Ryze into Azir is because Ryze is probably the best split pusher in the game. He builds AP now, so he can do damage to towers. He has an ultimate with Zhonya's Hourglass, so he can get out of any sticky situation. And at that point in the game, no one could 1v1 him. We saw Vladimir struggling to do it. We saw Azir struggling to do it. And Azir cannot side lane as well as a Ryze can. So when he's forced up into the top side, he can't make the rotation. So if he's matching up against the teleport user, that's the cue for RNG to just use their global TP advantage or use the Tahm Kench ult. What they needed to do right there was Azir's out of position, force a fight where Azir's not there, then crack the tower, then take the Baron. They literally made the one play, the one mistake that they shouldn't have done. And frankly, they should have lost the game for it, but BLG just couldn't close on the second Baron.
At the same time, RNG did rectify the situation. In that first replay that we saw with the Dragon, they actually went for the fight afterwards. So yes, they made the mistake, but then they rectified. They got a lot of the Barons off the board, were able to push. Hero defense from Amazing J, but over again, the pressure that RNG already had from winning the early game meant that they were able to win it in the end.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm willing to say that the ship isn't capsized anymore, but it's definitely still full of water, because they're still only winning the game then through capitalizing on BLG's mistakes. And if this was on any other team but RNG, it'd be like, yeah, that's great, you know, recognizing where they were strong, getting back into the game, having the mental fortitude. But for a World semi-finalist team, even with, you know, 3/5 of a different roster, I'm going to hold them to higher standards than that. It shouldn't be that they're gifted the game back because BLG chose to take a very risky dragon fight. In fact, multiple dragon fights. If we even take a look at the end of that game, the fact that they thought that they could just walk over to the Elder while Ryze is stopping the base, you're like, oh, it's fine. They sit back as there. I was like, no, Pulse, he can't stop them.
They're literally just finishing the game. Let's take a look at that one, because Xiaohu is still pushing here, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. They've got the rest of the members coming to them. No, that's not happening. RNG brought members to the Nexus and finished off the game.
And again, this is Bilibili just not estimating the call, not making the right call onto the map, and it's also RNG finally utilizing the Tahm Kench correctly. Because like I said, the very first Baron play, you have a Tahm Kench, you have a Rengar, you have so much pick potential. Why are you gambling everything on that Cho'Gath hits the feast correctly on the Baron? And if you lose that Baron, that's BLG's only win condition back into the game. This is just it's frankly unacceptable for a world semi-finalist team to make that type of error.
But as you said, this is 3/5 of a different roster, and in fact one of those players will pick up the MVP here as well, and that will be Zatai taking this one in the top lane. Now this is only his second match, I believe, coming into this, but he still picks up a man of the match in this one with his Cho'Gath.
Yeah, Gifted the Cho'Gath has a decent matchup into the Vladimir because he can match the sustain, he can outpush him into the early levels, although Zatai actually didn't get to do that. Hero Zatai left his lane at level 2 and he sat on red buff to delay SKS's jungle tempo, because even though Karsa got the first blood, he had to go back and spend it, he was half health, so he spent a lot of time walking from base back into the jungle, and Zatai sacrificed his EXP, like good guy team player, to get Karsa back into the right jungle tempo by delaying Kha'Zix.
And that was the key. The early game was very good from RNG. The top side of the map very much covered themselves very well, but it was some of the decision making that was made after that that was the issue from RNG. We'll see if they do it again, as we are going to take a short break before we head into game number 2.